we'll get started. Again, my apologies for running behind, and it's exciting. We actually are. I just did the count and saw an email. We are less than 100 hours away from the climate march, which is really exciting. And there've been a lot of really good preparations underway. What I'd like to do in this call is simply to give last minute information about the Faith lineup area, about the plans for music during the lineup time, and then information about the action at the White House, and also an invitation for folks who are interested to take part in a debriefing call that we would do interactively a week or two after the march, so that we get a sense of how this has worked as an organizing method and what things we could do better. So, and at any point in time, if you've got questions that you want to share, please send them in through the chat function or through the Q&A function, and we'll get those to folks. We'll get to those as best as we can. And I apologize, I have a wonderful puppy dog here. I had intended to get home earlier and be able to have things a little bit more under control, but if you see a paw coming in from the side, that's what it is. So in terms of the actual day of, we will start lining up in the lineup area starting at 11 a.m. Obviously, if you get there a little bit earlier than that, there will be a number of us who will be there starting probably as early as 9 in the morning. But the official lineup time starts at 11. There are any number of services, vigils, gatherings that are taking place either the evening before or the morning before the march, before the lineup time starts. And you can find out about those at faith.peoplesclimate.org, the website where we've been pointing everybody all the way along for that kind of faith information. So we'll start lining up in our official lineup area at 11. And there will be, as you enter the Faith lineup area, there will be places that people can go to get a sign for their specific denomination or religious tradition. We've got a whole bunch of those signs made up so that people can find each other. And there also will be some people at a clearly marked area who will have a map of the Faith lineup area, so that you can get a sense of, if you're Lutheran, where the Lutherans are gathering, if you're Baptist, where the Baptists are gathering, if you're Jewish, where the Jewish contingent is gathering. So as you come towards the Faith area, we'll do our best to make it obvious where those people are going to be. So just be on the lookout for that. And if you're one of the early arrivals, you may well be able to be a person who carries the standard for your group. And I'll actually send out in the email to the list afterwards, if people would like to volunteer to carry the sign for their group. We have a place where you can do that. The music, thanks to Cantor Rachel Rhodes, the music is going to be starting. We'll have a small stage, and there will be music that will start at 11 a.m. Or right around 11 a.m. Rachel has put together a really wonderful collection of diverse performers, singers, instrumentalists from different spiritual and religious and ethnic traditions. And that will go from 11 until about 12:15 or 12:30. She's got about 90 minutes worth of music lined up. If it turns out that we need to go much longer, I think all of our hope is that she'll be able to extend the music. What I want to say is that because of logistics, not everybody will be easily able to hear the musicians. You'll need to sort of gather in relatively close to the stage area. We're trying to do, I know that Rachel is trying to do a number of sing-along things so that people will be able to sing as to sing along, and that'll make it easier for more people to participate. But nonetheless, we weren't able to make it work logistically to have a large enough stage and sound system to make that possible this time round. So, but there will be music, and I see questions coming in about where will the stage be. We're still making final determinations about that. It will probably be close to the front of where the multi-faith staging area, gathering area is going to be, but we're still working on some final logistical details about that. Again, my sense is that it'll be quite obvious visually when you get there. And we also will have volunteer marshals, who I'll talk about in a little bit, who will be able to give you directions on where to go for that. So that's the music piece. Another piece is that we will have a number of probably 15 to 20 people serving as volunteer marshals for the multi-faith contingent. And those will be people who will be helping us make sure that we keep an eye out, so that if anybody is ill or injured, we're able to get quick care and attention to them. We are still gathering, and we have about 10 or 11 people who volunteered for that role. We need to get another 5 to 10 more so that we're adequately staffed for that. If you're interested in serving as a volunteer marshal, you'll need to undergo an hour and a half to 2 hours of training, just so that you get all of the protocol information for the PCM. That training can be done, it's best if done in person in DC. There's a training on Friday morning for people who will be in DC. But if not, there will be a virtual training tomorrow night. So if you're interested in that, please email info, I-N-F-O, @greenfaith.org, and we'll make sure that we get you connected with the information that you need to connect with that training. And again, what the marshals will be doing is just essentially keeping an eye out to make sure that everything's proceeding well, that people are safe, that there's nobody who's injured or needing assistance of one kind or another. And they'll be able to connect with a couple of point persons for the overall faith contingent, so that we'll have a good connectedness with other sectors of the march. We expect to be stepping off right around 12:30. Again, the exact step off time will depend on the numbers of people that we have coming to the march, and we're not able to predict that at this point. The weather forecast is for the temperatures to be in the low to mid 80s on the day of the march. So it is likely to be hot. We encourage people to bring water bottles if you can. There will be watering stations along the route of the march, and there will also be porta potties along the route of the march. But we encourage you to bring your own water supply. You'll be able to fill up along the way, but bring it nonetheless, just so to be prepared. If you want to bring a backpack, small fanny pack type things are okay. It's not really a good plan to bring backpacks, large backpacks on your back or knapsacks. Those are the types of things that the police get worried about for security reasons. So please try to do your best in terms of bringing water supply, though, as I said, there will be a number of watering stations along the march route, so that should be taken care of even if you don't have your own water supply. Bring a hat. We encourage folks to bring a hat. The sun is predicted to be out. Bring sunscreen. Make sure that you're well prepared in that kind of way. Wear comfortable, loose-fitting clothes. All of the types of things that you do if you were going to be outside for several hours in sunny weather, with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. So those are some that's some logistics. In terms of the action around the White House, that will take place at 2 p.m. is when it's scheduled. And the way in which that will work is that marchers will have encircled the White House. And what we will do is there will be a coordinated action whereby we will all sit down for a period of several minutes and link arms in a symbolic gesture as if it were a sit-in. During that same time, our Muslim colleagues will be offering their midday prayers, and so they'll be doing that as a contingent during that same period of time. After a couple of minutes of silence, we will start a symbolic action whereby we'll start beating our chests together. And then again, on a next signal, we'll all stand up together, and there'll be an outcry with people calling out for the government to take action on climate change. That will all be, there will be directions from portable sound systems that we'll have along the way. And so that'll be something, again, to sort of stay tuned to, and the marshals will be able to help with the guidance and more information about that. But as it stands now, that's the plan for the action around the White House. And then after that, everybody will proceed. The final leg of the route is from the White House simply down to the grounds of the Washington Monument. And there will be a stage, there'll be a number of speakers, there'll be some music, and there'll be, I'm sure, some food trucks and that sort of thing so that people can get refreshments. So that's the overall plan for the day. Again, as I said, the weather forecast is good, so we're in good shape that way. I think it's, again, not to bore people with repetition, but really important for folks to have a sun hat and some sunscreen, and to wear loose, light-colored, lightweight clothing, because it is going to be warm. All of the indications are that it's going to be in the low to mid 80s that day, and we'll be on tarmac for the length of the march, so that's important in terms of that's going to absorb heat, and we want everybody to be comfortable. Why don't folks, if they have them, please send in any questions or thoughts that they've got. We'll be distributing information about through the listserv, and this has already begun, about the hashtag for folks to use for tweeting during the march. That's something. I see that a couple of folks have raised their hand. It's easier with this system if you can type in your question in the Q&A box or in the chat box. There's a question about when will you get the order of the lineup within the Faith contingent. That's getting finalized now. If we get it finalized, and Joelle Novi with the local Interfaith Power and Light chapter is doing that. If we get that set before the morning of, it'll be posted on the faith.peoplesclimate.org site, but it will also be available the day of when people arrive. There'll be a clearly marked welcome area at the site of the Faith contingent, and there will be people there who will have the maps of where the different lineup order is. So that you'll have for sure. There's a question that's come in about if people are taking buses into DC, where will the buses park and how will you get to the staging area? The buses, the most recent information we have is that the buses will all park out by RFK Stadium. There will be metros in from the stadium to the metro stops right close to the staging area, and you'll be able to walk from there. And there will be lots of people doing that, and also some volunteer marshals who will point you along the way. So that'll be the best way to find your way from the bus arrival area to the actual march staging area. If there are any other questions, folks should feel free to send them in. I think one sort of fun piece of news is that we now have more buses coming to the climate march than there were buses that went to the presidential inauguration this time around. So that's a kind of a fun fact. There's a question about if you need to leave the march temporarily, will there be open places where you can get out of the heat and rest. There will be a couple of rest areas along the march route. We don't have information about houses of worship that will be available. And so we don't know. There may be, there may not be. But there will be some rest areas, and there also will be medical stations along the route also. So our sense is that there will be ample places for if people need to get out of the heat, that they'll be able to do that. Another question came in terms of any idea of numbers attending, and we've really sort of tried all along and are going to continue this not to make numbers predictions. We honestly don't know. And we are eager to encourage people to keep on pushing up through the last minute. We know that a lot of people make their decisions very late in the game in terms of attending a march, and it's absolutely worth it to keep on making the push. Those were the topic items that I wanted to make sure that I got through tonight. If there are any other questions, now's the time to put them in. We're really excited to see everybody in DC. We're getting more and more faith blogs or articles or op-eds that have been written. Pat Almonroad is doing a great job of getting those up onto the faith.peoplesclimate.org website. We have so far Buddhist, and we've got Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim blogs. Some of the ones that are still, we're attempting to get them placed in different periodicals, so they're not live on the Faith site yet, but they will be soon. And we're getting also, we've got a great sermon from Margaret Bullitt Jonas, who I see is on the call, who in a church this past Sunday did a wonderful sermon about doubting Thomas in the Christian tradition and climate skepticism and the importance of showing up at the march. So that was a super piece. We're going to try to get that posted. So I'm not seeing any more questions come in. It's just more than anything else, it's really, really exciting to see that we're less than 100 hours away. I see lots of familiar names. Mirala Goldsmith, who's done, along with Joel Novi, an amazing job organizing the Jewish contingent, and Mirala and Joel were named in an article in, I believe it was in the Jerusalem Post, as sort of 2 of the 10 most influential Jewish environmental leaders, which was great to see. I see Andrew Rock, who, along with George Hogue, has been doing a super job organizing the Buddhist contingent, and lots of other friends. It's great to see. So anyway, I think that's it for today. We'll look forward to seeing folks in Washington, D.C. Be in touch through info@greenfaith.org with any last minute questions, though I would encourage everybody before emailing either Joel or myself to look at the faith.peoplesclimate.org website, because it's got a lot of logistical information, and it'll have the most up-to-date logistical information that we've got. Thanks a million to everybody who's been part of these calls on a regular basis. We'll send out an email about a debriefing call that will, we expect there will probably be smaller numbers for that, so we'll be able to do that interactively in the couple of weeks after the march. And we're looking forward to being together. So take care, everybody. Safe travels to Washington, D.C., and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.